Good afternoon. It's September 11, 2024. We're critiquing the news, and this article is from the Cairns Post, and it's titled, "We've no friends here, say farmers at Parliament House." The story is about 1,000 furious farmers who have gathered outside Parliament House in Canberra, and they actually say that they're not under any illusions. They have no friends in Parliament House, which means that nobody in the Labor Liberal Uni Party, or obviously the Liberal Party's national associates, are considering the needs of farmers or the tough conditions that they face, and they feel abandoned. And one elderly farmer from New South Wales in his 80s said they don't care and they don't see. There's not a decent one in there. But it's actually worse than that. They're implementing the will of the unelected foreigners of the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, and they're shutting down farming. Now, Peter Dutton, the Liberal opposition leader, came out and addressed the crowds, and he said, and I quote, "The government is listening to Green voters in inner cities," which is, well, frankly, coming from the government, it's disinformation. Because the government isn't listening to Greens voters. The Greens aren't listening to Greens voters. The Greens, the Labor Party, the Liberal Party, and the Greens voters all get their marching orders from the same unelected foreign billionaires who control politics in, well, pretty much every major country these days. And everyone who has the mental acuity to recognise patterns, which obviously rural people do, can see that the Labor Liberal Uni Party are marching in lockstep to implement that foreign agenda. And the most obvious planks of that agenda are shutting down our manufacturing, shutting down our fuel production, shutting down our electricity supply, shutting down our food supply by harassing and victimising and destroying farmers' markets, and flooding our nation with unassimilable foreigners to overload the infrastructure that we have. They're not building any extras to make up for the one new immigrant every 42 seconds that Anthony Albanese is bringing in. So when farmers protest outside Parliament House, we should all listen very carefully indeed. The globalist agenda requires you to eat insects grown in the factories that Bill Gates is building right now, and also to eat the lab-grown meat, for want of a better word, that Bill Gates is also developing factories for. And it's, just in case you don't know, it's disgustingly based on immortal cell lines from a tumour in the skin of an American woman who died some decades ago. Yuck. So the Labor Liberal Uni Party works for some of the most diabolically evil people on earth, as does most of the left-wing legacy-controlled corporate media. And this is whether the individual ground-level operatives know it or not. That's where the direction for their organisations is coming from. There's no other explanation that fits the facts for both sides of politics. In the US, specifically, that excludes the MAGA Republicans, or I hope it does. It's just the Rhino, the Republican, in name only Republicans. But you see it with the Tories and Labor in the UK, Labor and Liberal here, Democrat, Rhino there in the US, the equivalents in Germany, France, everywhere. They're all marching to this same illogical, ridiculous, globalist agenda, which is based on nothing but fake science and propaganda. Now, we can't do much about the controlled corporate media. After all, the best we can do there is withdraw our subscriptions. But we can vote the Uni Party out of our parliaments. And I would suggest that if we want to eat delicious, natural, locally grown fruit, vegetables and meat, we ought to start listening to our furious farmers.